This report brought to you by the Richmond Club, where investors and high-growth companies meet.
I'm Galit Solomon for the Richmond Report. There are approximately 130,000 patients in the United States who suffer from a condition that doesn't allow them to properly digest the food that they consume. That means they're not getting the nutrients that they need. In some cases, patients have to take up to 40 pills per day in order to manage their condition. But that could soon change. We sat down with the CEO of AzurRx to learn more. James, I'd like to welcome you to the Richmond Report.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited about this interview and learning more about the work that you do at AzurRx. So let's launch into it, beginning with an overview perspective of the company in about 30 to 45 seconds.
Well, AzurRx is a gastroenterological company. We have a product that's going to compete in the pancreatic enzyme replacement therapy category, or PERT. Some of these products are made, well, most of them are made from pig pancreas. We're going to be an extract from yeast and regenerative medicine humanized pancreatic enzyme. And we are testing it in cystic fibrosis patients and chronic pancreatitis patients.
As you know, we address potential investors here at the Richmond Report. One of the top questions on their mind is, well, why is now the time to invest in this stock? If you can provide us with 3 to 4 reasons why investors should be considering AzurRx stock at this time.
Well, that's a great question. And really, I'll answer it by why did I join the company? I joined in October of last year after the company's been around for 5 years. And I found the stock to be incredibly undervalued, considering the market and considering the clinical data that's coming. So the reason I would invest is, A, it's a unsatisfied market. The 2 leading products are made from pig pancreas, quite frankly, Creon and Zempap. There is no humanized model to this. AzurRx has the first one. It's already a de-risked company and product, MS-1819, meaning that it's gone through proof of concept. It's in the middle of phase 2B, ready to finish that, moving on to phase 3. So we're on the precipice and cusp of showing investors really good data moving forward. And we've got a very strong IP position through 2028. And then with Hatch-Waxman, we can extend it through 2035. And then through the, being that it's a biological, get an additional 10 to 12 years after that. So some really strong, compelling reasons for multiple shots on goal for this compound.
You mentioned a moment ago that your stock is considerably undervalued, especially considering everything that you've been able to accomplish. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, the stock is undervalued for a lot of reasons. The first and foremost is prior to this year, the company's been doing what I call lily pad financing. They've unfortunately been only to get enough financing to bring them to the next clinical data set. And they've never really had enough money to finance the company all the way through to the finish line. So because of that, the investors that have come in the past realized that the company always had to go back out and get more capital. So they kept a lot of pressure on the stock. Therefore, the stock hasn't been able to breathe per se. Their volume has been very low, and they've kept the cap on the share price from exploding. And the data that I believe has been put out there hasn't been fully explained, and we're in the process of doing that. We've increased, just in the short time I've been here, we've increased our press releases by 40-fold at this point. We've got a great guy, Martin Cruson, who's helping us with corporate communications and getting our messages out there. So I think before the story was a little bit convoluted and people didn't really get it. And I think it's a little bit more self-explanatory now in terms of the data points that are coming, and you'll start seeing reflections in the share price moving forward.
And you may have alluded to this already, but there are a number of analysts who are covering your stock at the moment. Tell us, what are they saying about the stock as it stands right now and looking at it 12 months down the line?
Well, the analysts have been great. I can tell you we have several banks covering us. One of them is the only, Wainwright's the only one that we did a very small raise with. The others we've never done a raise with. So the analysts believe that their shareholders should be in our stock. And the share prices vary from a low of $2 and change to $8. depending on which analyst report you read. They definitely have a buy target on our share price. They're shocked that this stock is so undervalued. A lot of them I've known throughout my career, so they've been talking to me and they're happy that I've taken on this job and moving the company forward.
One of the other questions on investors' minds is, well, who is leading this company that I'm about to invest in? You have a very interesting background, a robust background, I should say. Tell us a little bit about it, and also about your track record for coming into companies that require a bit of a cleanup.
Yeah, well, my whole career, I spent the first 17 years in big pharma, and I was kind of an entrepreneur within the big pharmaceutical companies. Always given projects that no one else wanted per se, and around the world, and it really led to increasing responsibility in these companies. And eventually I really led a good team effort at Bristol Myers Squibb in the world of HIV/AIDS, and that led me to my first turnaround situation, which was Gilead, who, believe it or not, right now is the largest biotech company in the world, but it wasn't like that when I joined them. And they really need some rescue after failing at the FDA, and the stock was pretty low. Well, I came in, I was the first commercial person that they had with experience from big pharma, and helped put Viriad on the map. That was their first product that really became their flagship product, a multi-billion-dollar product. I left just before we concluded the deal for Truvada. Truvada, as you know, is the largest seller, was for a while, the largest selling HIV drug in the world. And I was recruited out to Serono, also a turnaround situation there. We went from 26 in the world as part of the Serono family to number 1 in business unit contribution by my third year. And then I decided, to start doing some things on my own, and went into the world of venture capital, founded a company called Tabira Therapeutics, which we eventually sold for $1.7 billion to Allergan, which created a 42x return for my original investors, so they were pretty happy with that. Went to another company called Liqua, sold part of that company to Celgene, so I had a good exit there. That also had a 12x return to some of my larger investors. And I've kind of been doing this ever since, really going into companies that need a lift. I'm a fairly fast decision maker. I'm able, based on my 37 years in the industry, able to decipher what some of the problems are. I believe I'm a very compassionate person when it comes to patients. I really care about what happens to patients and moving forward, but I'm extremely ethical as well, and want to make sure that we return the best amount of return to investors as possible. My approach is I always work for the shareholders. I take a fairly large equity position myself in each company I join, and that's my job, is to return on investment for the shareholders.
Let's wrap it up with a look at what's ahead in 2020 for AzurRx.
We're in the middle of a combination study where we add our product to PERT for patients who are refractory or failing on their therapy. We're in the middle of that study right now in Europe. The coronavirus, COVID-19, has slowed us down a little bit with that, with our sites in Spain, but they're opening up fairly soon. We've just gotten word on that. So our timelines are pretty much intact on that study, and we expect to have some top-line data third quarter this year on that. With our enteric-coated capsule announcement on our formulation for our monotherapy, we'll have some data along those lines as well. So we have at least 2 or 3 major announcements in the next couple of quarters for our products, but in addition, we'll have some other interim announcements along the way. So we've cleaned up our balance sheet. That was the first thing I had to do when I joined the company. We're in a good financial position moving forward, and we're really excited about our prospects.
Well, it sounds like very exciting times ahead. James, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Galit, and hope to talk to you soon.
For more information about AzurRx, head to our website, www.richmondclub.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. For the Richmond Club, I'm Galit Solomon.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know. You've been watching the Richmond Club Report. If you've just come across this channel, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting and lucrative investment and trading ideas around here. We'll see you again soon on the next video. Cheers, guys. Have an amazing and profitable day.